Another morning at the Askinosie household, and the daily routine begins with Sean planning his day over breakfast.
Should I call the lady from Silver Dollar City?
And he heads out for another day to earn a living.
Okay, I'll see ya.
For over 20 years, he had a schedule that usually led him here, to the Greene County Courthouse to face the judge, because that's what lawyers usually do. But today he will head 2 blocks past the courthouse to Commercial Street, where the Askinosie Chocolate Factory is in development. So the man who spent over 20 years in the courtroom arguing law decides to make chocolate? It may sound crazy, but his friends weren't surprised.
One of the wonderful things about Sean is a lot of us have these ideas. We have a passion and we think, oh, it would be great to do that, but that's where we leave it. But not Sean.
But his family wasn't sure what to think.
Whenever he first started talking about chocolate, I just figured this was another one of his crazy ideas.
Just how crazy was this idea? Well, after much research, it led him 2,728 miles away to the South American country of Ecuador. He came to get raw materials, like these cocoa beans drying out, and he came to talk with local experts, whose average income is $3 to $7 per day.
So I graded 14% humidity on that cocoa.
Sean met one expert in particular.
My name is Bruno Brevi,
who he would consider a master chocolate maker. Sean was learning so much from Bruno that he brought his camera everywhere. And he talked about his experiences so he wouldn't forget.
But it was great.
Through Sean's research, he realized 1/3 of the population lives in poverty. Sean decided that he not only wanted to make money off the chocolate, but he wanted the farmers to as well.
He's also extremely generous, and you can see that in the program that he's done, with the stake in the outcome.
A stake in the outcome is Sean's business and others paying above the fair trade market price. So with his questions answered,
How do you like that haircut?
And his research done, it was time for Sean to go home and try his own hand at chocolate making. It was here at 514 East Commercial Street that Sean decided to start his business. Machines were being bought and delivered. And along with that first truckload came a whole new batch of problems.
Every machine leaked. Literally every piece of equipment right now has something wrong with it.
Some of the things we have no control over, like when we got the equipment and it had holes in it, it was leaking water.
I'm not a mechanic.
Sean needed help. So it was time to call in the expert all the way from Ecuador. It was Bruno's first trip to Springfield, and he took a liking to it.
Yes, I like it. It's beautiful. The people is nice.
Bruno immersed himself in the entire chocolate making process. And finally, chocolate was being produced. But it was too good to be true.
Very bad. I want to shoot myself bad.
Even though the chocolate tasted good, it just didn't look right due to temperature issues.
The way you control the temperature is by controlling the temperature of the water. Well, the problem is chocolate is a poor conductor of heat, so it takes a long time to move the temperature one way or the other. This is an example of 1 step forward, 2 steps backward.
So how does a lawyer and a former employee of Dayco who made rubber solve these problems?
Trial and error, basically.
And in addition to problems with the machines, Sean was being ripped off by some farmers he met on a different trip to Venezuela.
But here's a group of, 25 or 30 farmers. They took all of my money, and then they held it for 6 months. Now these are poor farmers, and I remember praying about this when it happened and saying, God, these people are poor, and if they need the money and that's what's going to happen, then I guess I can accept it. But I don't think God honors thievery, in in any situation. But I did tell them when I first went down to Venezuela, you know, if they needed, I'd pay them for a drying pad and I would pay for them to, but I didn't think that they would build it and then keep my money.
Starting a business is the hardest thing you can do in business. And he's starting it with a new customer base, with a new process, and that's really hard.
You know, for us to come in as the new kids on the block, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of intimidating.
There's a reason why there's only two or three of these around the country and maybe, you know, 15 or 20 around the world. There's a real good reason. And it's not for lack of capital, it's just hard.
And during these hard times, he's been leaning on his family for support.
Well, then what am I going to do?
We've been asking ourselves that for 2 years. We'll figure it out. We figured everything else out. This is the last hurrah. We'll figure it out.
I think really he wants us there not just to bounce ideas off of, but to comfort him, you know, and let him know that we're always going to support him no matter what happens.
What I'd like to do is kind of give you just a little background on the chocolate making process.
So with all the frustrations at the factory, Sean still found time to help out others by granting tours with all the proceeds going to Boyd Elementary. Even though Askinosie chocolate doesn't look perfect yet, there are no complaints on the taste of it.
That's the thing about the Askinosie chocolate. To get some, you have to know somebody. Oh, yeah. So I've been looking for dark chocolate, for good chocolate for years, and this is some of the best I've ever tasted. It has a wild flavor to it.
I enjoy coming to work every day. You know, I love working on these problems, and I love solving problems because I think that's probably what I do best. And I'm not going to give up.